All right, do not adjust your screen just yet. Let me make sure I get some lights on. Tap this one, and this will be a pretty big light here. All right, so you may be familiar that Christ said, I am the light of the world. And we know that we don't function well in the dark. Any of us who've gotten up in the middle of the night and hit our toe on the side of the bed, headed to the bathroom, or as I tend to do, step on a puppy squeaky toy to wake the house up, that's not preferable either. Simply because I can't see where I'm going. And most of us in life have periods where we just can't see where we're going. And we're looking somewhere else for some light, for some way to move forward, some way to find direction. So we're going to dive into that today. My name is Paul Evans. I've been a student of Scripture and spirituality for almost 50 years. And we're just having discussions and thoughts around right now what's called the Sermon on the Mount. It's ultimately Christ consciousness. It's his core teachings, not simply about something we're supposed to go out and hopefully obey and get something right, but it's a revelation of what's actually inside of us. It's a revelation of how we can live this 10-10 life, the life to the full, or life more abundantly, as he says in John 10:10. And so as we look at this, we're going to find out something very interesting about light in just a few minutes. But today we're going to be looking at Matthew 5:13 through 16. He says in 13, you are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You know, when thinking about salt, we're thinking about things that add flavor. And so in this concept, he's really saying you're going to bring flavor to life, and not just to your own life. You're going to bring flavor to the lives of other people. And you're also going to help preserve life. That was the two main functions of salt originally: add flavor and preserving food. Back when they didn't have refrigeration, you couldn't keep food long term. Salt was often used as a preservative. It kept life, it kept things around for much longer than they naturally would have been. And so when we think about that, we'll say something when we're tasting something we're cooking, we'll say, that needs more salt. Why? It needs more flavor. And so we're going to bring that to life. Now, not necessarily being salty or being sarcastic, which I definitely have a tendency to do, but to instead bring that bold flavor, bring that interesting flavor, and to help things last a long time. So if things are good, we're going to come in as salt and help them last a long time. If things are bad, we're going to try to add flavor to that, add flavor to it, and change the entire situation, the entire energy. And so he begins by saying in this section about being salt. But then he says this, remember, Jesus is the light of the world, we've often heard, or Christ is the light of the world. And it's over in John 9:5, he mentions that. And sometimes we'll disconnect with it. And we'll think, well, of course, this spiritual leader is light. Of course, I'm supposed to be looking to that for light. But we often forget this. And this is in Matthew 5:14. You are the light of the world. You are. Just like we're salt, we're light. We're constantly looking for somebody else to shine the light. We may forget that we actually are light. So it's not simply this spiritual leader's light and I can't attain it. No, you're light. I'm light. We are shining the light and turning on the lights in life, just like I did right at the beginning of this set. That's who and what we are. And that's challenged for us sometimes because we may feel insecure, or we don't have confidence, or we compare ourselves to other people. And that's a challenge because that means that we're going to pull our light back. It says a town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people put a lamp light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand. They allow it to shine. But how many of us who are filled with light refuse to shine, refuse to be the city on the hill? We want to be the city in the valley somewhere, not really showing up very brightly. Or our light gets lit just a little bit, but because we're insecure and we don't want to draw too much attention, because we don't want to draw judgment, or we're afraid of what other people think, we'll cap that, we'll put that under a bowl. But it says, instead you put it on a stand so it gives light to the entire house. What's that mean? It becomes useful. It shows the room for what it is. It becomes useful and allows people to read things they couldn't read before, to navigate in ways that they couldn't navigate before. And that's who you are, is that you become a light, not only so you can navigate in your life, but you become a light to help others navigate as well. And in one sense, that could feel like some pressure. But in another sense, it's really freeing, because this passage is not about us reaching a certain level or being a certain type of individual or making sure that we've attained something worthy of being a light. No, you are the light of the world. It's a pronunciation. It's not something that we have to achieve. It's not something we've got to go out and try to figure out how to become that. You are the light of the world. You put it on a stand, it gives light to everyone in the house. It says, in the same way, let your light so shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So your light shines. How does it shine? It shines through good deeds. It shines through the way we interact with other people. It shines by the way that we process situations. So are we being that light? Now, this is where the work really begins, right? Because it means that we've got to be more conscious. We've got to be more aware. We've got to be more in tune. I can tell you, for years, I didn't live in any sort of awareness. I would just be out there living my life and having a good time and not thinking about being light at all. If somebody had a comment that I thought I could be wittier or sharper or quicker, I would always have that zinger in there. And I wasn't thinking about whether it was appreciated or not. I didn't think about what sort of light it was shining, or if it was bringing darkness, if it was defeating people, if it was hurting people. I didn't process that way at all. I was not conscious in that form. And so once I started measuring that and asking questions, have I been light today? Or have I been darkness? Did I cast a shadow? Or did I shine brightly? Did I bring joy? And did I bring peace? And did I bring love? Or did I bring discouragement? Were these some of the ways that I was, quote, shining or not shining at all? You know, one of the things that we might forget about with light, that it's the very first words spoken in the text that we call the Bible. So we say, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then it says, and God said, let there be light. So from the very beginning, light, the first of all creation, the ultimate energy, some might say, is who we are. Now we might think, well, that's pretty crazy. I don't even know if that's true. Well, not only is it true in a spiritual sense, it's actually true in a physical sense. I was reading this a couple of weeks ago. And this is from Michael Singer's book, Living Untethered. See if I can find these pages real quick. Okay, so it's talking about stars in the sky. It says most stars, this process will stop by the production of fusion as iron, element 26 in the periodic table. Thus, iron will not sustain a fusion reaction. Large stars will progress until they have cores of iron. This is how the lighter elements on the periodic table, 1 through 26, were created. Okay, so you're like, that's pretty boring. Almost 99% of the mass of the human body is made up of 6 elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. Quite literally, we are stars. And we might think, well, that's pretty cool. Well, Philippians 2:15 says that you shine brightly as stars in the universe. So from the very beginning of creation, we're deemed light. Created the sun, moon, and stars, and we're described as stars. Jesus said, I am the light. and it says we are the light. Be thinking about that this week of how you can be light. And I'm certainly focusing on how I can be light. And I'm telling you, it's a challenge for me. I'm not just out there shining as this beacon. I'm out there realizing there's points where I'm shining like a star, points where I'm shining like the sun, and sometimes I'm just shining like a little shadow or maybe even some darkness. So how to shine bright? Just 3 ways to think about this week. Number 1 is just your energy. And we can call it positive energy or negative energy. I like to think about it as being bright energy or light energy. Am I bringing light energy into this situation? Maybe it's a tough situation that I'm literally lifting a burden and allowing it to become lighter by my presence. So it's energy. Secondly, is just encouragement. I think that we shine a light when we do encourage. Now, some people don't want to be encouraged. They want to stay exactly where they are. And sometimes they just need a friend in that moment. They don't need encouragement. All you need to say is, I know that's hard. I know it's difficult right now. And you're just agreeing with where they are. That's light. It doesn't have to be always something so bright that people have to shade themselves from, but instead to simply be there to shine light. And then third is to equip. So energy, encouragement, and then just equipping. Some people do want some direction. Some people do want to see a forward path, and you equip them for that. You're not just encouraging them in that, but you say, hey, let's walk this together. I think I've got some ideas, or I think I've got some resources. I think I've got some tools that can help us both shine this positive direction forward, and we're going to walk that path. So yeah, I love the Christ consciousness that I am the light of the world, and I love that it's affirmed that we are the light of the world as well. Be asking that question every day. How am I light? How am I light? How am I light? Hey, subscribe to this channel and hit the notifications. And if you know anybody else who might enjoy these types of studies around Christ consciousness and becoming more of what we truly already are, but has been hidden or has been discarded or has been blocked simply because of the challenges of life, let's walk through this study together and find out how to have a different mindset, a different consciousness, a different awareness. So it makes a difference not only in our life, but also makes the difference in the life of a lot of other people as well. Got my camera stop on my watch, that's why I had to look down. You guys be blessed.